All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode on The Truth with Ben Jokes. Thank you for joining me. Now, every lie has an expiry date. National Assembly members have been insulting the sensibility of Nigerians by singing "On Your Mandate We Shall Stand" twice when Tinubu visited the chambers. Tinubu has achieved nothing, but just because he was bribing them, they said all was well. But their friendship is going sour as Boko Haram is now knocking at the doorsteps of some of them. They have realized that life is not all about looting your country dry. Many lawmakers yesterday angrily exposed Tinubu on the floor of the National Assembly, saying nothing is being done to stop Boko Haram, and they are now spreading like wildfire. Clearly, Tinubu left governance in the hands of his appointees. He doesn't have the brain nor body to do anything anymore. But appointments were not based on competence, so the appointees cannot perform. He just appointed friends and looters. That's why they have all failed. National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu has not improved security intelligence one bit since he came in. Minister of Power has done nothing except increasing electricity tariffs. What a disaster. Now, on to the top story. A minister in Tinubu's cabinet has come out to say that Tinubu's policy is responsible for the massive failure in his sector, and Nigerians were shocked. How can a minister in Tinubu's cabinet make this kind of submission and expect Nigerians to clap for Tinubu? I examined that speech by the minister of a critical sector in Nigeria, and I almost wept for this country. It is bad enough that these men will dictate how this country runs for another 2 years, another 2 good years. But if it goes beyond the 2 years, disaster will be an understatement. Before I show you details of the minister's utterances and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video by His Excellency Peter Obi. Obi was unusually blunt and direct in this video. Let's take a look.
Obi, but we call him Obi.
Your Excellencies and our dear Father, Your Excellency and my dear elder brother Jonathan, let me respectfully stand on all due and existing protocols. Where do we start talking of our dear father, Clark? For somebody like me who had just been part of this 2023 election, he lived a life of courage, a life of sacrifice, a life of justice, a life that is valued. But most importantly, his continued living that life to the end. I listened to my brother Mike when he talked about, may the labor of our heroes past not be in vain. I'm sorry, I'm happy that Jagawan is here, and I'm happy that Jonathan is here. But I can tell you, their sacrifice is in vain. They've sacrificed for nothing. When this country, when people were protesting, when there was no need to protest, under Jonathan, where are those protesters? Have they died? Where are they? So why are we saying it should not be in vain? Jonathan increased fuel from 87 naira to 120, and people were protesting in this country. And when it was 900, they were not protesting. Are they dead? So why are we saying it should not be in vain? People protested when naira was 180, and when it was 1,500, they're not protesting. Are they dead? So let's not say it should not be in vain. I spoke a few days ago, and people said I'm demarketing Nigeria. When is truth being demarketed? One bank has just shown that 75% of Nigerians in rural areas are poor. Is one bank demarketing Nigeria? UNICEF 2 days ago released that Nigeria now have over 2 million malnourished children, the second highest in the world. Are they demarketing Nigeria? Let's face the reality. Their labor is in vain. country now that is not democratic. We are not a democratic country. Let's tell ourselves the truth. The election that happened in Edo, is it democratic? Just the last election in Edo is the most undemocratic election. Everybody knows who won that election. So why are we keeping it and saying, let their work not in vain? It is in vain. So we can start picking the pieces now, because they've destroyed everything people have sacrificed for. Look at what is happening in Nigeria today. Above all, Jaragowan sacrificed everything. The country people sacrifice has turned into a crime scene. All we do today is stealing. And we have to do something. All we need to do, he lived a courageous life. May God Almighty that called him home grant him eternal rest and grant us the courage to look into what our Father lives for and start picking our pieces. May God bless all of you.
You heard that. His Excellency Peter Obi delivered in a very reprimanding fashion there. The APC over the last 10 years have completely destroyed all that this country struggled to build. Without doubt, the country had problems even before the APC, but all the problems that were existing before they came have multiplied 20 times over, and new ones have been added. And of course, Yakubu Gowon seated in that meeting must be ashamed of himself. Last year, he was at Aso Rock asking Nigerians to give Tinubu more time. More time for a man who clearly destroyed the integrity of the electoral process and judicial process to get to Aso Rock. Is that the kind of Nigeria you wasted people's lives for? Go on. And of course, Obi hinted on remarks that he was demarketing Nigeria. When has speaking the truth become demarketing? Okay, the lawmakers who exposed Tinubu's failure in the area of insecurity right on the floor of the house, have they also demarketed Nigeria? Very demonic administration, trying to hide the terrible state of this country from the world. And they can't anymore because the world has seen it. Look at World Bank and IMF reports dropping daily into this country, saying the truth about how this administration has destroyed this country. And like Obi said, all Nigerians have to realize how broken the country is so we can decide whether to begin picking up the pieces or allow it to sink. Now, let us look at the top story. The minister of a critical sector in Nigeria has brutally embarrassed Tinubu and himself while trying to shy away from speaking the truth. He wanted to bring Tinubu into the conversation by all means, as they always do, to say that yes, the Renewed Hope agenda is doing this, is doing that, just to score cheap political points. But on this occasion, he ended up disgracing both of them. And I speak of no other than the Minister of Education. Education is dying in Nigeria, but the minister could not admit it. So he blamed Tinubu's policy for the massive failure of JAMB this year. And Nigerians were shocked to learn how confused these people have become. Look at how the papers reported it. Tinubu approved integrity policy that guaranteed UTME mass failure for Nigerian students. Education Minister Tunji Alausa has acknowledged that Bola Tinubu's integrity policy was responsible for the mass failures recorded in the just concluded 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. Mr. Alausa stated this in the wake of the results released by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board for the 2025 UTME, in which only 420,000 candidates out of the 1,955,069 students who sat for the exams this year scored above 200. In an interview with Channels TV on Tuesday, Mr. Alausa attributed the high failure rate in this year's UTME to the anti-malpractice policy introduced by Mr. Tinubu, which he said ensured only the hard-working ones passed, while accusing the candidates that scored below the 200 threshold of corruption. That's a big concern, and it is a reflection of exams being done the proper way. JAMB conducts its exams using a computer-based testing system. They've implemented strong security measures, and as a result, fraud or cheating has been completely eliminated. Unfortunately, we cannot say the same for WAEC and NECO. the education minister explained. Mr. Alausa added, "We have to use technology to fight this fraud. There are so many miracle centers, and that is simply unacceptable. People cheat during WAEC and NECO exams and then face JAMB, where cheating is nearly impossible. That is the disparity we are seeing now. It is sad." Mr. Alausa's comment came as a surprise as the minister resorted to shielding Mr. Tinubu's government and past administrations of complicity in the mass failure by accusing the students of being cheats, and those who had previously passed the exam had cheated their way through. The minister also sidestepped the main issues that have plagued the Nigerian education sector in recent years, including the inadequate number of teachers and unqualified tutors, decrepit infrastructure across the country, and scarcity of instructional materials. Furthermore, the country's academic curriculum is widely criticized as being heavily outdated compared to other countries and can no longer provide solutions to modern-day challenges. Also, the lack of cohesion in academic calendars being followed nationwide has caused huge disparities among students. There are so many issues that can cause mass failure of a national examination. But the Minister of Education sat down on air and said that students failed massively because they were not allowed to cheat. And he said that in order to promote a useless integrity policy that somebody that does not have integrity enacted. Where is your own integrity, Tinubu, that you are enacting an integrity policy? So it pleases you to hear that if students are not allowed to cheat in your country, they can't pass exams. Is that sweet to the ear? An examination where the maximum score possible is 400 was written by 1.9 million Nigerian students, and only 420,000 people scored above 200. And you are happy to announce it. You are happy. You are putting all the blame on the students that it is because they were not allowed to cheat. This is a phenomenon that did not exist in this country before. This country was not like this before. There is a reason why that 200 was set as the cutoff mark many years ago. It was because most of the students were scoring above 200. So if you scored below 200, they will just cut you off. But today, only 420,000 out of 1.9 million scored above 200. So most of them now scoring below 200, you have turned the educational sector upside down. And you have the effrontery to sit there and blame the students alone. You must be sick. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. Almona here says, "Shame on the minister that someone who cannot boast of a certificate is talking about integrity in exams. Criminals in power." That is it. Where is your own integrity? If we even investigate all of now, we be minister now scam we go see everywhere. And Ademide here says, "Wow, these people are demonic, always shying away from reality and responsibility. They always prefer to politicize everything." That is it. And this tweet here says, "This administration is legit celebrating failure as a win. Just like they celebrate hardship and claim these are the true value of things, they turn things opposite and celebrate a worse situation as a win. I am not surprised. A win for tribalism politics." That is it. It's such a shame. And Jide here says, "This is ridiculously absurd. What integrity policy would Bulaba approve that made candidates to fail JAMB? What kind of integrity policy is that? And if you have done it and it has happened, why are you not on your toes? Why are you not talking about it? You, the Bulaba that set the policy. Why are you not saying that this is an aberration? So if people are not allowed to cheat, they cannot pass JAMB. Why are you not all over the place talking about it? It's such a shame. Now, in other news, remember the NANS president who came out to say that he was borderline kidnapped and threatened by Sheyi Tinubu after he rejected a huge amount of money that was given to him to support the Tinubu administration. He has now been arrested by the DSS, and they are forcing him to retract everything that he said about Sheyi Tinubu. Look at this. Exclusive. DSS detains NANS president Atiku Issa in hospital after exposing Sheyi Tinubu's 100 million naira bribe offer. Forced to recant, made to pose with gun for blackmail, Sahara reporters. That is what is ongoing now. And if you know Seyi Tinubu and his cohorts well, you know that this is very, very possible. In fact, this is very little compared to the things that they are capable of. Like I said, this is a guy who grew up in a family where thuggery is celebrated. So there is no way you expect him to act like a decent person. He may appear as if he's very decent, but right inside of him, anytime he wants to bring anything out, it will be in the line of violence and thuggery. You saw his speech in Yobe State, how he was, gesticulating and acting like somebody that was high on drugs right there on stage. That is his true person. And I knew that they were going to come for this Atiku Issa. This is what they are doing, trying to get him to recant his statement to say he lied against Seyi Tinubu. Do you seriously think that anybody would have the effrontery to tell a lie as enormous as that against Seyi Tinubu? I don't think anybody would have the nerves to do that. They can get him to recant his statement, but I already heard what I wanted to hear from him, and the world knows that this is what the APC is doing, trying to silence all dissenting voices, trying to get everybody on their side so that they can continue looting the country. But I tell you, it all depends on the people. If the people say no, if the people unanimously say this cannot continue, it will stop. But if the people decide to sit down and look, they will plunder and plunder until the nation sinks. Anyway, make I leave am here. Make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go away.